Welcome.
Please welcome.
The Outdoor Project Podcast. Hear real conversations from industry leaders on the latest in the hardscape and landscape industry. Brought to you by Cincinnati's Landscape Supply. You're now streaming the Outdoor Project Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Outdoor Project Podcast. Today we have Phil Baylor from Pave Tool Innovators and another special guest that we've had on for the second time, Josh Jones from Mass Hardscapes. What's up, guys?
We're lucky for
Thank you.
Mass Hardscapes
Privileged
twice.
to be
now.
here.
This is cool.
Honored to be a part of your podcast. It's great.
How's the Techo shows been for you guys?
Busy. So it's keeping us quite busy. 30 plus shows around the country and up into Canada. So it's been a good trip. And all the other shows in between. So they're not the only shows that we do. So it's a busy time for us.
Techo, man, they put an amazing show together. It's crazy how many people they can reel in for one of these shows.
It is amazing. They, I've seen shows they've had 600-700 guys in a room before in some of their different shows. So it is amazing what they do.
It's got to be good for you guys. I mean, you're Pave Tool Innovators. I mean, you're able to put a display up. You got all those eyes on your products.
So our product is visual, as you know. A lot of our tools you can look at on a wall and they don't mean anything. But the second you take them off and start talking about it and explaining them, it takes on a whole new meaning. And so the shows are effective for us. The guys can actually get out and see it. We got a lot with the videos and whatnot, so the guys can actually see on the video screen how the tools are being used in the proper setting. So it definitely helps being able to see it physically.
Yeah, and then you got Josh Jones over here, this big mogul on Instagram, who's using all your tools and being able to be the R&D for these products that you're making. I mean, it's got to sell for itself right there.
It does. He's been awesome. Great support. I love having him with us on a show. A lot of people recognize him from Instagram, and a young rock star for sure.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited to see him grow. It's been really exciting.
That contractor to contractor relationship is huge. You know, I know during the intermissions at the Techo shows, you guys are swamped over there. You know what I mean? So when you're handling almost the technical part or kind of explaining, you know, he can really talk about the contractor relationships with the tools itself. So I think that works really well.
Right. Yeah, it's been cool for me to be able, and it's the same for Phil, obviously, being a former contractor, you can relate to guys. You're not just like a sales guy who's saying, oh, like, buy this stuff because it's going to make you better. Like, it's genuine because, like, it's helped my company.
I mean, that's the whole point of these tools. I kept hearing that quote yesterday at the Techo show. You want to take the hard out of hardscaping. I mean, it says it right there. These tools are there to make your life a lot easier.
So yeah, I would agree with you. It's been in my blood since I was a kid. So I started in 1985 as a hardscaper, and literally we laid our first patio in 1985, and we fell in love with hardscapes early on, and I spent every day of my life in the field. So being an owner, that was one way we were able to control quality in our company, and there was 4 of us brothers, and I was the runt of the litter. So guess who got stuck doing all the work? It was me. So I was out lugging block and installing pavers and miles of walls, and it was just I was every day I'd be so frustrated with how barbaric our industry was and how there were no tools. So we spent first probably 15 years we'd plow in the wintertime, consumed a lot of our time, tied us down. And we got to the point where I was saying, why are we doing this? We made money maybe every third year. And shame on us, we probably could have done a better job as far as managing the snow removal, which is hit or miss in Connecticut. But we then faded out of the snow removal, and we just really focused on how can we be more effective, more efficient, be more profitable in the 8-9 months that we work in the season, and be able to obviously reap the benefits, and in the winter not be so tied down. So in the wintertime we'd cut, torch, invent our own tools and come up with systems, bring our guys in early from the winter break and just train them on how to do certain tasks to try to get our product, I say, from pallet to pavement. That's really what it's all about. Obviously, product comes on all these pallets, and you got to get that in the ground and looking proper. So pallet to pavement, it's important. How can you do that? What's the fastest, most efficient way to do that? And we did it. We did it through tools, through systems, and through the best equipment on the market. I'm a huge advocate of do your research, figure out what piece of equipment is best for you. It's amazing. And I always say math doesn't lie. You know, if you put pen to paper, it's amazing in the end of what you can find out about your systems, about your equipment. And that's really what we do with a piece of equipment. You can really figure out what's this really costing you. And it's amazing. I mean, you're going to take a guy now, this day and time, it's going to cost you probably 50 to 60 grand by the time you put on your labor burden on top of any kind of employee, and then take a piece of equipment that might cost you 50 grand, and yet you're going to dedicate it out over 15 years or 10 years. So it's a really amazing on how little this equipment really costs you. So if you buy the right equipment, and I know I really appreciate Josh is a huge advocate as far as really doing his research and find out what piece of equipment really works for you. And obviously got all the different heads now on the end of the excavator, the rototilts and the twists and Encon, and some of those that, shovels are almost obsolete if you get good enough on a piece of equipment. It's amazing. And then coupled with clamping and suction equipment, it's just amazing how you can take the heart out of hardscaping.
That's it.
I think going back to your business too, I think there's a big trust factor. You know, you were a contractor and you're selling products to contractors, you know, because you've been through it. And I think people tend to buy into companies when that's the factor. I mean, everybody here at Sensenix Landscape Supply, we've done the work, you know what I mean? So it's a lot easier. So you hate to say sell the product, but we're selling products that we put our hands on, you know what I mean? Right. So there's a huge trust factor.
I always say, too, passion breeds passion. You know, in our industry, it's been amazing from just being just simple landscapes to now you see the passion that goes into some of these projects. And you're really gaining people a better way of life, the outdoor living. It's amazing. When we first started, we started doing all driveways. We said, "Oh, buy your last driveway first." We were promoting driveways, and we do driveway after driveway. I mean, we did a lot more square footage back then than what we do now as far as pavers. But it's been amazing the transfer that we've seen of all of a sudden saying, why would you spend 60, 70 grand on a driveway when you could spend 60, 70 grand in your backyard and really enjoy it, not just drive on it. So you got the curbside appeal, so to speak. So we transitioned probably 15, 20 years ago into becoming your backyard specialist. And I encourage guys a lot of times to find something that you're really, really good at and just really focus and hone in on that, because you can get much more profitable. Your guys are trained much better on that, where if you're doing 15 different things all the time and you're constantly switching gears, and even our own company, it's set up, we have dig out crews, and then we have installation crews, and we have crews that can kind of we have one or two crews that do a little bit of landscape, and we never did, but in the last probably 10 years or so, we've gotten into a little bit more landscape because our customers said, we want to work with you guys. We just want to work with one contractor. So we kind of transitioned to try to meet that need. So we do have some talent that we hired on to do the landscape end of it, but we primarily focus in that hardscape end of it. But if you can focus on just what you're extremely good at, you find you become much more profitable. And you can have your systems. Systems is a whole nother thing that you can talk about with not only tools, but just a system. You know, and having a consistency, repetitivity obviously breeds greater productivity. And so the more you can do something over and over and over again, you get better and better at it. And that's kind of the way we're set up with the different crews. It really helps us to be more profitable.
Yeah, and faster. You're able to keep that same ethics and what's the word I'm looking for? You're able to keep that product still top of the line,
right, but
still be able to do it faster, because that repetitive nature that you've kept doing it at, I mean, it's great.
Yeah, I think you know, we look at a lot of these young guys that are just starting, you know, their business, and they come to us and, you know, just for a little consulting or whatever. My biggest thing is the tools, making sure you have the proper tools, you know. And there's a contractor in general that started off last year, and he's doing great work. He always has, but he worked for a bigger company and went out on his own. And my thing was, you have to get the tools right from the start. So he went and bought suction, and then he bought tread clamps or tread setters and stuff like that. So right off the bat, he made the right decisions, and he's on top of his game right now. You know what I mean? And he's probably one of our best installers because he's doing it right. And he took those steps to make sure his business was headed in the right direction right from the start.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. And it's amazing because we see a lot of our young contractors starting out. If you can get them started the right way with the right tools and systems, it's amazing how much more efficient they are. and they're more apt to retain help. And that's one thing that we can talk about maybe a little bit about. The industry we're in is extremely, everywhere I travel, guys are having an extremely hard time finding help to obviously work in our industry.
And retain them, too.
And retain help. And again, like us up in this part of the country, obviously it's seasonable. You know, it's seasonable business. So you're working 8, 9 months, maybe a year. So that was one thing that we spent a lot of time on to focus in. And we would really hone in on how can we be more profitable. And then we did some profit sharing with our guys. So we consistently do profit sharing that at the end of the year, if we hit profit, and our guys know exactly what we need to make for profit. And actually it's gauged every week or every couple of weeks. We try to bring our guys in. We do a toolbox meeting on Fridays, and they can see what the profit's supposed to be. And if we hit profit for the week, we'll give them donuts. If they come in, they see no donuts, they know that we're behind schedule. So it gives them a little shot in the arm. We also job cost every job. So at that point in time, we can go through the jobs, and it's as a group, the entire company, on this Friday morning, and we'll go through the jobs. And if we're profitable on a job, great, we move on. Might look at another job, say, oh, we're down. We didn't hit our profit margin. What happened? Okay, well, it was weather related or wrong material got delivered. We had to swap something out, something simple. Okay, that's explainable. All of a sudden you say, no, we were profitable. We moved. Everybody was on your game. There's no, why are we losing money? Okay, now you got a bid problem. So we're able to keep track consistently early on in our jobs. And I always relate it to a ball game. You don't want to find out if you're playing a baseball game in the 9th inning that, oh, we're down. You want to know what your score is every inning. So that's one thing that we kind of related to a ball game, you know, in our business, that as soon as you can figure out if you got a problem, you can solve it early on, especially a bid problem. You don't want to be consistently bidding a job and losing money for an entire year. You want to know right away. So, okay, no, we got to tweak some numbers here. We got to make some adjustments. So that was really effective. And then again, doing the profit sharing, our guys, if they know we're hitting a profit, so at the end of the year, our guys would get a 10% bonus of their pay. So a guy making $50,000, he's going to make a nice $5,000 paycheck. And he can obviously use that to compensate for when he collects. And a lot of our guys do get laid off in the wintertime, so they can use that. And they really have a beautiful 3-month vacation. They can travel, they can enjoy family time or whatever it is. But so that's one way that we've combated trying to retain our help. You know, in the end of the day, guys are like, oh, they're shot and they're doing that back bend, trying to straighten their back out. And it's like, you know, if you can use equipment, if you can use clamps, your excavator, you got the hydraulics on the job most of the time already as far as equipment, you know, whether it be a skid steer excavator. But if you can utilize that in any which way to get the product over to where the guys are laying, I think the new OSHA regulations, 51 pounds that one person can lift, man, that's starting to limit our product. You got about 4 products now you can lift on a job.
Yeah.
You know, our product just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So you're more apt, you're getting forced to really use some sort of tools and systems to help with the ease of that. But we found with our guys, even the retaining walls, so we have our clamps for moving retaining wall block, from a job that was so grueling and miserable and all labor-based, to we've turned it around to it's all equipment-based. You know, there's very little picking, you know, and I know Josh implements these with his crews as far as using the clamps and setting retaining walls. And it's amazing. At the end of the day, your production rate at 4 o'clock has never changed from what it was at 8 in the morning. Yeah. Your production rate's the exact same, even maybe even better because you're getting more efficient at it.
Depends what they ate for lunch, your guys. Usually.
Right.
Yeah, that time between 1 and 2 is always a little bit of a lag. Yeah. The guy's back on track. You don't eat lunch.
Yeah.
No lunch. You're not allowed to eat lunch.
We sell a lot of natural stone here, so we're selling a lot of 4-foot, 6-foot, 8-foot steps, 6 inches thick. And I think, you know, you guys have that BL 450, the BL 300 that are lifting these things like with no problem. You know what I mean? And I think those are key to, especially for us as a dealer, to have these here and be able to sell to the contractors. It's key for the products we're selling.
We just talked about it yesterday. I mean, you mentioned you had your 3 brothers and you lifting that one step all the way to the backyard. Your backs are hurting. He smashed his finger, I think, too, right?
It was one of our guys that worked for us, but yeah. So we've had, and that's normal. You know, that's not, you're not talking something that's a rarity. It's something that happens every day in these hardscape industries, you know. And we talked about guys with swinging the hammers for putting in the edging and, you know, and mashing thumbs. We see it all the time, you know, we're used to, you know, and that's why I created the bit for hitting in the spike. So there's so many things like that just being on the job day in and day out, I was able to observe and watch and just see some of the frustration in our guys and some of the struggles that they have. And Josh actually did a great video on that hammer bit where he actually cloned himself. I don't know how he did that. We got to figure out how to do that because there's a few of us we like to clone. A few of us we delete maybe. Can you delete guys too? But if we could clone some of these guys, but he actually did a video of himself hitting down one walk on the walkway with a hammer. And then the
I
other
saw
side
that on
with
YouTube.
with our hammer bit.
Yeah, that's been my most liked and viewed video of all time. I think the first time I posted, it got like 16 or 1,700 likes or something. But all I did was I set the camera up, and I just recorded the two parts at separate times, but I just never moved the camera. So when I put it into my editing software, I just split the screen. So it has the same exact background. So it looks like it's one,
You can't
just
even
one
see
image.
a line.
Yeah.
You can't
But
see.
it's crazy. Yeah, I didn't
It's
know I was going to
flawless.
do that. It wasn't my plan. And when I put it in the software and export it, I was like, what? This is crazy. But it's cool because it's like shows you just how efficient you can be and how much easier it was. And the cool thing is it's like a 30-foot span. By the time I'm to the end of it with the hammer drill, I'm not even halfway with a hammer. So I'm like, imagine over a year how many, thousands linear feet of edging you do. Like that's gonna be a huge time saver.
Yeah.
And you're not on your knees either.
Right.
I mean, you're still leaning over, but it's so much more efficient.
Right.
We're still questioning whether or not he has a twin brother that he's not telling us about. That's why he's so productive on his job.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, just getting to know you and your company, knowing you yourself, I didn't know you were actually in the install business.
Yeah.
Like now,
All my life. I never had an office position in my company. Wintertime, my position was purchasing.
Yeah.
So I do tools and equipment and trucks. All that was kind of which I love doing. I love that kind of stuff. I love numbers, so I'm always working math, as you can see, just with our tools and efficiencies and speeding up productivity. So that was the only time I really got in the offices in the winter months when we were shut down. But otherwise, I was overseeing a lot of these, we call them backyard bonanzas, this outdoor living, multiple levels, a lot of math involved, a lot of tricky installations. And they design stuff, and I'd be scratching my head saying, this is years back, I'd be like ready to choke them. I'm like, they're designing this stuff I had no clue even how to build, and yet you figured it out, did your research, and a lot of the stuff had never been done ever before, and you're trying to figure out what to do.
let's say the zip level. It was, it just seems like.
So some guys will use it for estimating and installation. So whatever, you can use it either way. We use it strictly for estimating. So
Yeah.
our 4 designers all have the zip level, and phenomenal tool. And even that tool pays for itself really on one job or one error. If you're going to do a backyard set of stairs, if you have a drive under garage and you're trying to do a back set of stairs, and we'd always be looking at the siding and measuring down with our tape measures, and it's easy to get off one step tread or 2 step treads. And really, if you make that mistake once, and it's embarrassing, walk up to the door and you're knocking and saying, hey, I miscalculated a step.
Does this look
And
all
who's
right?
going to pay for it? And she's like, you're the professional.
Yeah.
No, I hired you to expecting that you're going to bid the job right now. You're telling me it's going to be $700 more for 2 more steps.
Right.
And
There's your
blah,
zip
blah,
level.
blah. And it's like,
There's your humble pie,
like
right?
Josh said, there's your zip level.
Yeah.
So it was just, it's a professional tool too. You go out on a job site and you're carrying it in your hand. People are like, hey, what's that?
Yeah.
Like, no, this is a calibrated tool. It's going to tell me the exact elevation. I'm going to bid your job very accurately, and we're not going to have any surprises.
It's such a useful tool. We have a few contractors here that have it in their trucks every day. I mean, they don't go to a job site without it. I mean, it's one of those tools I feel like you need to have it in your toolbox because it's so useful.
And
Just-
those guys
yeah.
are doing designing and, they're probably owner-operator doing designing and install, too. We were just talking about this where, some companies sub out work, right? So the designer does the takeoff, and then they hire a sub guy to do the work. The biggest problem is they're missing 2 steps. You know what I mean? And they
Yeah,
didn't have a zip
then-
level on the
then it
first
become an
initial
issue, yeah, for
takeoff.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's why I think the advantage. Everybody should have one of these in their truck.
Yeah.
They are a great tool. Yep.
I mean, it kind of takes the place of a transit. I mean,
Right.
and it's
Unique
smaller.
part-
It's more compact.
It is compact. You don't have to worry about setting up your trans. You don't have to worry about having a long storyboard, especially if you got real large height difference.
Right.
If you're going down, say got a lakefront property and you want to build a set of stairs down to the lake, that'll do 40 feet in elevation. Where you don't have a laser rod that's going to go that tall, so you got a real struggle. There's another one that's out in the market. It's called Smart Level. It's very similar. So the technology is very similar, but one is more based on a water level, and the other one uses a gas, but they both work consistently.
And
the
then you
same.
could transfer all those numbers to your phone too. So
Right.
if
Some
you're
of 'em
at
will
the
do it
job
for
and
you.
you want to save those numbers in your phone and go back and be able to put those numbers in your computer or whatever. You could do that also with that.
Yeah, you can plot out your jobs, and they said the smart level will actually do that. You can sync it to your phone.
They're cool. I want to change subject just a little bit.
Yep.
Paver Pete was saying yesterday that the forward moving tampers are becoming obsolete, and I know you guys have some tampers that are kind of taking place now that are being used in the industry.
So the compaction equipment, obviously, compaction is key. Without compaction, your job's going to fail, obviously. So we're seeing a lot of buying the right compaction equipment, investing in the right compaction equipment is key. And the reversible plates are really nice because you can get in a lot of tight spots as opposed to some of the forward plates. Another thing that we see really taking off is the roller plate compactors.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you're familiar with
Oh,
those,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
our product is getting much bigger. It's like a lot of slabs and stuff, and the plate compactors really are not compatible with compacting your slabs. ICPI would tell you to pre-compact your sand setting bed before you lay your slabs, but you still need to compact your polymeric sands, any of your joint filler. You really need to compact it or it will fail. So that's where the roller plates really are effective, that you can do your compaction with your base. And again, a reversible is almost needed for that. You do your forward plates, you're only talking a 2 or 3 inch lift, but you get some of your reversibles, you obviously can do a substantial lift at one time. But then doing your obviously your top surface with a roller plate it's phenomenal. And those you can adjust the frequency, vibration just by the throttle. So you can idle it way down if you're really concerned about cracking something. But at least you're vibrating, compacting that slab, so you can compact your poly joint.
What are those roller compactors really going for price wise?
So they're about $3,300 they start at. Yep, there's some show specials right now till the end of March. If anybody's interested, now is a good time to buy.
Yeah, we always had kind of a pushback on those because, they invested in tampers and now they have to invest in a roller tamper. It's two separate tampers. They're heavy.
They're just that one trick pony. I mean,
But
that's all they're good for.
I'll tell you, we rented them here, and once they tried them, they bought them.
Yeah, once you try, you buy.
It's almost like a necessity. Again, we sell a lot of natural stone with pattern cut that goes up to a 36 by 36. And they're complaining, they're tamping them and breaking pieces, then having to go back and replace the pieces.
Oh.
You can't. So you think about all the time you've done that and just add it up again. It's worth it.
Yeah. So realistically, you could sell your smaller forward plates. You could have a decent size reversible and a roller plate. You can get away with those two pieces.
Yeah.
Then you've got it covered, really.
Yeah.
That would be the ultimate setup if you could have one of each. But you really don't need all the others.
That's what we've done. We've never had a forward plate compactor since I started my business. There's no need for it.
Which is wise.
Yeah.
Do you have a rammer, Josh, or no?
No.
So we would use a rammer a lot. And he's got you got the CR7 with the comp control, right?
Well, I have a 3 right now, but this year looking at
Right.
doing like a
That's right.
7, yeah.
But so rammers obviously is nice for doing like your edges. Like anytime you're doing a cut, and obviously we always base out a foot beyond all our edges. But then we'll take that rammer and we'll really ram our base material out into that outside edge. That's usually going to be their biggest
Is that
area
like
of
the
failure.
jumping jack?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So we'll do that on all our edges. And there's stuff like go underneath a deck or something. Sometimes you can't get underneath with a plate compactor. So you can hold them on an angle and really ram, on an angle like that.
Yeah, what was Paver Pete talking? What item was that he was talking about yesterday? Which tamper was that? It was kind of the smallest one of them all.
Talking about the smallest one, which you could do. Yeah, you can do your top, your pavers. You can do your base also with that.
Yeah.
So that would be a one and done type, but you're still not going to do your larger slabs.
Right. I think that's where that roller tamper is huge in this industry right now.
Definitely. And I know the industry is starting to lead towards dustless. I mean, that's a huge issue right now. You guys got some stuff to...
So we do, and we've had really good results. We sell the IQ power saw. And again, I do a lot of research, so I don't sell anything I don't believe in. But the IQ power saw, they started out with their smaller unit, the 360, which is a small compact unit. And again, it wasn't great for big slabs and stuff. You had small pavers. And I tell you where we're really seeing that shine now is a lot of the guys doing like veneer stone.
Yeah, I was
with
just
the
going to
natural
say
stone.
that. Yeah,
you can bring it up on scaffolding. It's light. It really is. It captures, I think, 99.5, or it's right up there. Don't hold me to those numbers, but it captures almost all your dust if it's used properly. And I've used it inside my house even, doing stonework inside, so that's a great tool for smaller projects. And they came out with a 362, which we've had really, really good results with that one. Some of the drawback was some of the blades and some of the pavers were gumming up the blade. So you can cut any kind of material, like a softer material. They do sell a stone for cleaning your blade. But what happens is a lot of times that material will gum up on the diamonds and it almost makes like a V, so it's wedged and you're just forcing your product through it. So you really need to clean those diamonds if you get right into that. But now they have 3 blades that are an option for that saw, which has really been nice because no matter what you're cutting, they do have a solution right now, or it seems. I've had very little negative feedback on that.
How big is the blade on the 362?
So it's 16.25 inch.
So is it able to cut through your 6-inch
You
wall
could do
block?
it'll just do a 6-inch. Yep.
Just
Barely.
Just barely. It just
Yeah.
barely does. You got to undo the lock on it, and then you can just pull it down a little bit or raise it up and cut it. But it will do a true 6-inch block.
I think that's really awesome because, so many double-sided walls right now, and, you're doing it with a chop saw and a 14-inch blade, and you got to flip that thing over and get it that 90-degree with
you got the dust.
Yeah, and you got the dust. Yeah, I think that's a
Well,
huge...
we keep bringing up the word efficiency by you being able to cut directly through that 6-inch and not have to flip it and then recenter it to make sure you're hitting your line perfect.
And while you're cutting it, you don't have any back strain. Obviously, if you're holding a cutoff saw, 14-pound cutoff saw, you're bent over and a lot of back strain. Where this here, you're setting it on a table and you're just lightly gliding it through. And you may not cut as fast. I often say, you take a cutoff saw, you're talking 4.5 to 6 horsepower, depending on which unit you got. And you're talking this saw, which is a little less than 2 horsepower. So you got a big difference in horsepower, but you got no dust. And it's, like I said, you might cut just a little bit slower, but nice vertical cuts.
You're
much
getting
more
nice
efficient.
tight seams.
Yeah, and plus you're going to Aruba with no back pain.
Where'd you get Aruba?
I don't know. I just want to go to
Sounds
Aruba
good to
so
me.
bad.
Yeah.
You do bring up a good point because you really need to focus. When you're working, you do have to have goals in life.
Yeah,
That's one thing that we've tried to hold out for our guys too. Is even some of this, make up like a board of all your dreams and things that you always
Dream
focus.
board.
Every
Dream boards,
morning, every morning you wake up, you should look at your dream board and say what you want to do, and it gives you purpose. What you're getting up for every morning. You talk to anybody that does a lot of motivational speaking and stuff like that. A lot of them will talk about dream boards and stuff like that. But when you get up in the morning, you really need those dreams, something that you're working for, something you're striving for. It does help motivate.
Yeah.
So Aruba's a good one. I like it.
Aruba's good,
That's a good one. I haven't been there myself.
I haven't been there, but you know what?
Awesome.
It's really nice to see. We sell these tools here, and we get these calls from foremans that maybe the owner of the company finally took that step to invest in these products, and I have gotten calls, and I know Chris and Andy have too, that the foreman called and thanked us for selling these products. It made his day. His first day on the job with a suction tool or with that much better, and he looks forward to coming to work. And I think, Josh, you talked about that in the last podcast too, is, now your foremans or your laborers are just looking forward to coming to, or, they have that goal or they want to look forward to going to Aruba or something because they can. So, it's just, but it really means a lot to us that we provide the tools and they give us feedback as well.
Yeah, we had a contractor yesterday at Teco. He was buying one of the tracers, I think it was. I mean, what tool is that? So is it mostly for like
it's
pool
a pretty
coping?
unique tool, and you can do it for pool coping. It's basically an extendable shaft, and on one side it has a guide, and the other side it has an idler with a marker in it. You put your own marker in it. And I created originally I would see our guys doing a serpentine walkway. So say you're doing an 80-foot serpentine walkway, fixed pattern, you got to cut both sides. So the one side you're going to cut, or, lay out with your flex pipe, and you mark it, and you take a lot of time getting it just right, and then you cut it. Then I'd see our guys with a tape measure measuring across, say, 42 inches. They'd go 2 feet, 42 inches, go 2 feet, measure down the entire walkway, and then they'd put their flex pipe on the other side, and then they'd take pavers and hold down the flex pipe to get it just right, and back up, and they'd look at it, and they'd straighten it, and
Sounds familiar.
tweak it.
You're getting me tired
So-
just telling me about this.
And then
I can't even tell you fast.
And then it never looks right.
Right,
You're like,
right.
this section.
Right.
And then you move that, and then the pipe moves. It's like,
So with the tracer, our interchangeable handle locks into it. So standing up, all you do is you watch that guide. You set your width, which again, it's retractable. So you set your width, and you're just literally walking backwards down the walkway, holding it tight to the one side and square, and it automatically marks your other side.
And what is that called? Is that the Quickie Scribe, or
It's a tracer.
It's
So
a
that one's our
tracer. Is that
tracer.
different from the
Scribes is
the-
a small one.
It's a smaller
So it's
one.
a smaller version and does more of your marking, like for caps and border stones. And
Yeah, we get contractors
So
in
it's-
here that always, they're on the internet and they're like, I need that one tool, that one tool that you can scratch, you know what I mean? So it's nice to have the names to these tools, because I'm sure they're going to watch this, and, we're going to get a bunch of orders.
I talked to Josh a little bit about the Nunchucks for retaining wall trenches. I think that's a really cool product too.
Yeah, that is a cool product.
So-
Explain what that is.
that's one of our favorites. And again, I talk about systems. So when we're doing a retaining wall, automatically the Nunchucks is our wall screed system. That got named the Nunchucks early on. Even when I first started filming our tools up in Canada, it was
They're dangerous.
Bring out the Nunchucks. So, but the Nunchucks with the chain and the pipes on it, obviously that comes out when we're doing retaining walls. Your 6 foot, our 6 foot level comes out. Our BL 180 comes out, and our BL 450. So, like I said, systems. The guys know exactly what tools are coming out for every job, and the Nunchucks is basically 15 linear feet of chain with pipes attached at 5 foot intervals. And I did it 5 foot intervals because we would normally set pipes with a laser for our height. We'd set our elevation on our laser rod to exact height of what we want our base. And then we'd set these pipes front to back with our laser real quick and easy, because it killed me to see these guys on their hands and knees, and they're wailing these blocks. And I mean, pounding them to beat the band. And then they set the level on front to back sides. Then they rip it out and they scrape it down. And they put it back and they hammer it again and they pull it out. And I'd be like, what are you guys doing? It would kill me. And I still see it to this day. I see guys doing it, and they'll spend a half hour doing a 10-foot section, trying to get it just right and just level. So I'll go back just a little bit. We set our gravel base or our open grade base, either or. I set it to about an inch below finished grade. Then I put on these pipes, and again, the chain keeps them 5 feet apart, so my 6 foot screeder is always going to fit on there. I set the one end with the laser, set the other end with the laser. I go to my next pipe, set it. I set all 4 pipes. Now I've got 15 linear feet of base dead level with my laser. Then, and I'm not sure if you guys bag it, but our distributor by us, he bags the number 8 stone, so a 3/8 chip wash stone. He bags it, so a 50-pound bag will do literally 10 feet. So if I'm doing an 80-foot wall, automatically 8 bags get delivered with my delivery. So it's very simple, and it's clean, and it's neat. It's not another product that I got to bring to the job. So and then I sprinkle that on one side, closest maybe to the chain. I put my screeder on there, and I just drag it out. And I've got a dead level setting bed. For my straight walls, I take my chalk line, I snap a chalk line on the back of the wall, and you lay the block out. So it takes a job that's grueling and miserable. All of a sudden, it's like, and you're done. Just really quick, and you don't break a sweat.
No.
I think it's one of the tools that makes like the biggest difference. Like you go from the old way of doing it to that, and it's the clearest difference. It's huge. You'll never want to go back to
Yeah.
hammer.
I
I
one
keep
guy-
laughing at you because them pounding those block. I remember being on a job site with my brother and him slamming his thumb and watching his thumb grow. And I'm like, there's got to be an easier way.
He's the one that's a professional swimmer now.
It's funny for us, but it's not very funny for the person that's hitting their thumb with a rubber mallet.
Right.
Yeah, but we used to laugh at each other. Whoever got hurt, everybody else is laughing so hard. But,
So our industry, it's known a lot for tennis elbow and for carpal tunnel. So a lot of those things are related to swinging a hair and just beating products. There's really no need to do it these days.
Yeah.
And I really I've had a couple of guys give me some ultimate compliments on our tools. He's like, your tools are like going from a rotary phone to an iPhone. So it's some of those comments. I had another guy says, boy, he says, you're teaching me. He says, how did it go? He said, you're solving problems that I didn't even know I had, he said.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another product that's just incredible. I couldn't stand, 1 o'clock, you could just get back from lunch. You ate way too much. I know that was an issue we just discussed.
Well, you love pizza, so you always eat too
But
much.
you finish a section, and then you got to screed a new section. You got to get on your knees. You're all wet because the sand is all wet, and then you hate your life. But you got the screed rails that are on basically like a broom handle that you can do standing up now too.
So our screeder package is a real popular product for us. And again, we saw that and a lot, again, back strain. If you're in the industry for 10 years, 80% of you will have a back injury. And that's probably even low. But it is staggering the amount of people that have back injuries in our industry. And again, if you have a workman's comp claim, I mean, it can run up well over $100,000. We've had a number of workman's comp claims over the years. And so we're always trying to solve that. I tried teaching guys and telling them, I said, you can't afford a workman's comp claim. You have to start working smarter. And that's why I continually, I think they call it hardscape for a reason. These guys I deal with are hard-headed.
It's hard.
And I'm probably myself and probably one of them too. But it's very hard, you teach an old dog a new trick. And so I'm constantly trying to encourage them to work the right way. It'll retain help, and it's going to eliminate these back issues. And like with the stand-up screeder, it's really sweet because you can start in a corner. And we usually run 3-man crew. We found it to be the most efficient if you're doing a standard walk or a patio. A 3-man crew, and you start in one corner, lay out your screed rails, and you just start screeding. And once they get a section started, 2 guys will go and they'll start doing the layout and snapping lines and straightening things out, start laying some pavers. No other guy screeding, he just casually, he can just keep ahead of them, just screeding out, standing up, dumping his piles of sand or number 8 stone, and just screeding out very easily. Then you can flip our screeder package over, and it's got kind of a rounded end. And instead of taking a wheelbarrow and going around your paver setting bed and going onto the pavers and taking a trowel and filling the void where your screed rails were, our guy stays out on his gravel base or the open grade stone, and he'll throw his, like in a shovel, like in a rolled motion. It leaves a little windrow of sand or number 8 stone. And the backside of that screeder we created so you can really just grab that, and it's just like floating concrete. You pull that out, and it leaves you a level screeding bed. So you're not interrupting the install process. And the guy doing the screeding, he just becomes really good at it.
And that comes with different lengths too. How many different lengths you got?
4'6" and a 3.
Wow.
So it's all inclusive package. And people say, why don't you make it bigger? I have made it bigger. So I've made some larger ones, and the most you can do is 6 foot, really. Yeah. You get any bigger than that, and you can't control it. So
yeah, there's you're moving too much.
Back to 2 or 3 guys. And you got one guy shoveling, one guy on each end. So it becomes very ineffective. So you're better off doing more screed rails. Like I said, with the ease of just pulling out that void there, it really makes it simple to work it that way.
It's just simple things like that. I was watching Instagram this morning, and they had this guy, he was in mud, pounding spikes in with a hammer, and then the other guy, there was 5 spikes, and they were lined up, and who could do it faster? The other guy's got a drilling the spikes down, and the other guy's getting soaking wet on the ground, and it's raining. This guy's done like 10 seconds, every 10 seconds he's killing this guy with, just simple tools like that. It makes a huge difference.
Right. Never mind, and that's just when you're fresh. Never mind if you're doing an 80-foot walkway. By the time you get to the end of that walkway, I mean, your arm is just shot. And then you're chipping pavers because you're missing because of fatigue.
Got the customer talking to you, smashing your thumb.
It's great.
They were talking a little bit yesterday at the Teco show about splitting block, and Paver Pete had the pretty good analogy about hammering this thing all the way around maybe 7 times. He's like, forget it. Let's get the cracker out. And split some block. That's another product that I really like.
I'm laughing over here because that's how I learned how to split block.
I know.
When I started, we didn't have splitters, so we split every block by hand.
But even so, that one splitter that you always had to wind down, I can't tell you how much it hurts your hand winding that down, and then
the guillotine.
And it's still not bad. Don't get me wrong, but the cracker is a lot better. But you know how you have to, and then pull it again, and then
gotta
twist it.
Some of them have 2 levers on it, and if you're not doing it consistent, you can't get it. Once you bind it, then it's really hard to get it back even. But the cracker, you pull your pins for your different heights, and then obviously you got the one pedal that inches it up fast, and then your other pump pedal, which
it's all hydraulics, right?
20-ton jack inside of it, and it just snaps your product really accurately.
That's a must-have.
So
it's a must-have.
Snappers are definitely a must. Yep.
Yeah, especially with all the walls you're doing now, and the end units. They don't really give you end units in the package, so you always, if you're not ending a wall with a pillar, you have to snap all of those.
And you can get creative too, different angles and stuff. You can buy certain pallets do come with a corner piece, but if you want to get creative or do special angles or 45s or something like that, that gives you the opportunity to do that.
I know the only problem they had with the cracker, too, is guys were laying it down, and something with the hydraulic fluid or something was...
Yeah, you have to be careful you don't get air up in the hydraulic cylinder. Yep.
Yeah, so guys will bring it back to us, and we keep telling them, listen, don't
Do
lay that
not
thing
lay
down,
this
leave it
down,
upright. You know what I mean? And treat your tools.
Right.
And I think Paver Pete went through that in, your trailers and having that organized where you're spending a lot of money on these tools and making sure you're treating them well for the investment.
Yeah, that is key. Being organized. You saw yesterday we have our new rolling toolbox. I know you wanted to talk about some of our new tools, one of our new products this year, but we have a rolling toolbox that literally lets you get 50 tools in your backyard fast and efficient. That's one thing we see, guys, even in a job trailer. You bring your wheelbarrow in your job trailer and you throw all the tools in your wheelbarrow and a toolbox maybe, and you get in the backyard and you dump them out or lay them down. And then still when you're looking for something, you're digging through that toolbox, kind of like a dog digging for a bone. You're pulling until you finally find what you need. Where our toolbox, it's all the tools are nested in foam. So it's a direct visual. Your tools are right there. You look at a mechanic that owns a Snap-on box. Everything's very organized at its place. That's the same thing with our tools. The more you can be organized, the more time you're going to save. And there's a economics term. It's called opportunity costs. And if you have a task that takes you, say, 10 minutes longer, you've really lost 20 minutes because the extra 10 minutes you spent doing that task, you could have been doing your next task. So we teach that a lot to our guys who are trying to speed up production. If you can save and shave 10 minutes, if you can save 15, every minute you save, it doubles. So if you save 15 minutes, you've saved a half hour. You save 90 minutes, you save, obviously, 3 hours. So it's really interesting that you can speed up productivity. And we did just an analogy. It's even in our catalog where, if we get a guy that's got to go to the truck 4 times in a day, at 5 minutes, it's amazing what it adds up. It ends up being like $3,200 a year.
Yeah.
When you put paper to pencil. And again, math doesn't lie.
It does.
And I
I'm
always
so
say
glad
it
you
all the
keep
time.
saying that because I've heard that my whole life.
For business owners, it's amazing. You really need to put pen to paper on a lot of these things because you'd be surprised when you put paper or pen to paper. It comes out in the end. You're like, wow. Even like with equipment, tools, it's like it doesn't cost you. It's not how much it costs. It's really how much it saves. With equipment and tools. So if you do your homework and buy the right tools for your jobs and the right equipment, it does nothing but help you elevate your company.
It's really a no-brainer.
So you guys really aren't the odd couple across from us. I mean, now I understand why you guys hang out with each other, and I
make a good team.
I met Josh yesterday, but I know Chris did the podcast with him, but I watched it a couple times, and you're a big numbers guy. You know what I mean? And tools are important. And you've built these tools or selling these tools, and you're a numbers guy, and I understand kind of the connection here and how important the efficiency of business is. You know what I mean? And not only are you guys bringing the tools to the table, but you guys are really teaching guys how to run their business efficiently.
We try. Passion breeds passion. I love it. There's another thing I could just touch on, and I see it, and I still hear it. Everywhere I go, I hear about this square footage pricing. And I kind of give a simple analogy, and I say you got to bid unit pricing. It's not fair. If you're doing, say I do a 100-foot walkway, right, in my front yard, and I always base out a foot beyond. So on that 100-foot walkway, 400 by 4 feet is 400 square feet, right? I'm putting an additional 100, 200 square feet of base on each side of that walkway. I've got 200 linear feet of edging on each side of that walkway. I've got 200 feet of border on each side of that walkway. So it gets expensive. And I got 200 feet of cutting if it's a fixed pattern. I can do the exact same square footage in my backyard. Say I have a 20 by 20 patio in my backyard. It's up against the house. It's a square pattern. I have no cutting. If I look at my base a foot beyond, I only have 20, 40. I only have 60 square feet of extra base. I only have 60 linear feet of edging. I only have 60 linear feet of border. So those numbers are staggering. So when some people say, oh, I get $23 or $18 a square foot, you're dreaming because you are not even close to being accurate if you're comparing those two scenarios. Because you should be almost 1.5, if not twice as much for that walkway that needs cutting on each side.
Yeah, it's job specific, right?
Right.
You
need to do unit pricing. On
Job
your
costing.
Exactly. Know what your numbers are.
Yeah, and we live by the lakes here too. So it's all about. I mean, can you even get in the backyard? You know what I mean? You're going down these hills. Do you got to take all this equipment, all this material down with wheelbarrows or what have you? There's so many things to job sites that it's a huge variable.
It's job specific.
Huge variable. I get this question all the time. I mean, because we are in the industry. I mean, people don't know the correct way to price it. And I always say most of the successful guys are really job costing it because every single job is different.
Right.
No job is going to be the same.
We had a guy yesterday called in and said where he should be just doing veneer stone. He's doing a fireplace, and he's using the IQ saw. He's using the IQ saw to cut all his veneer too. But he had so many cuts and so many lineal feet of corners. I mean, for an example, your corners are double the price of your flats. And he went in as a square foot. He goes, I think, I don't think I'm making the money I should. And he's got another labor, and I'm going, it's job specific. You went at $25 a square foot, but think about all those corners. You should be up about $50 a square foot. Not saying you're trying to, get over on your customer, but it's job specific. Right. I mean, you got so many corners and costs there. You got a little bit of labor, but everything should be job specific.
You're in business to make money. I mean,
right. You can't lose focus of that.
Yeah. You're not there to do them a favor. And
I think we all can say, or a lot of us can say, we love what we do. And I find it so intriguing. And you've maybe heard me say this example, but if somebody needs to put a roof on their house, I mean, you see the customer, they're about putting the ink through the check because they're so ripped. They're going to spend $30,000 redoing their roof. There's something they're not going to enjoy. But yet, when they work with us, they got the biggest grin on their face, and they're writing a check for 30, 50, sometimes $100,000.
Yeah.
And they got the biggest smile on their face, and they can't wait to invite their family and their friends over to enjoy that. So I think with our industry, there's so much passion, of what guys are doing. It's neat to see how much people love and appreciate what they're doing for a living, and they are having fun out there building these backyard dreams.
We get to refocus in the off season and see what tools maybe we aren't carrying. And yesterday we get a lot of people asking about drainage, and we don't carry any drainage. And there's something that you guys came out with that. Can you expand on that a little bit?
So pretty cool product. And some of you probably heard me say this over and over again, but a lot of our drains that we have in our industry are tapered. And I'm not sure why they do it, but they're tapered down from the top down. And so when you compact your soils around those drain basins with vibration and compaction, as it vibrates and compacts, you're working that drain up out of the ground. And so it really gets frustrating. And I used to tap con like big square pieces of block to the bottom of our drains to keep them from uplift, but it obviously got expensive and costly, and it was frustrating. So we created our own adjustable drain, which is really unique, and it locks right into a 4-inch triple wall or S&D or SDR 35. Locks right into it, and then it has it's all stainless steel. It's got a nut on top, and you can run either with a wrench or a socket or even on your drill, but it'll travel up and down 3 inches. So it makes it really simple, and it always rotates. So again, instead of having to measure like from a house a certain point and get your drain exactly square, the only thing you need to do with our drain is get the elevation fairly close. And you can set the drain so it's about halfway.
You got 3 inches of play, really.
Yeah, so you got an inch and a half up, inch and a half down. And if you can't hit that on your first
Shouldn't
shot,
be in the
you shouldn't be in business. You better buy a zip level. Yeah.
That's great.
But it really works slick because we used to get so exact. Like, say you're doing a pool patio, and those are famous for you cannot get the water. If you got a house on one side and a pool on the other, that's an area where you cannot get water. So you're always putting some kind of a surface drain in. That we'd get, obviously from the longest lengths, sometimes it'd be 20, 30 feet. You're traveling, you're getting that pitch just exact. And then if that drain elevates a half inch, that can really throw you off. Yeah. Then you're back digging it out and taking your grinder, cutting the pipe down, and lowering your drain down. So
now for these products or new products or existing products, do you guys have it like a YouTube channel that these guys can go to like how-tos and stuff?
So we do. We have a full YouTube channel, Pave Tool Innovators. You click on videos, and we got, it's probably hundreds of videos at this point on our YouTube channel. And it's a lot of instructional videos. I do a tip of the week every Friday. Some people find that effective. So that's something they can consider too.
Yeah, those are some good videos. We were watching a few of them. They're definitely inspirational.
We try.
What do you think the advantage of us carrying your products or contractors buying from a dealer like us?
So that's a great question. I think and I can see just from your showroom here, you guys have a lot of passion for the industry. And the more you can have passion for your installers, and even I was at another dealer not too long, and I was encouraging them and saying, get involved in your guys' projects. When they come in, act excited. Because nobody wants, it's good for a contract. I speak as a contractor. Obviously, when I come into a dealer, if they have active interest in my project, it definitely, I build a connection with you as a dealer. So the more you can support your contractors, and again, some of these guys they just don't know. You know, and to have a professional like yourselves steer them through the project in a certain way, or, you know, if they're doing a certain task, say, have you ever thought about maybe getting a clamp? You know, if you're using straps, you really might want to rethink this. Or even I've had many dealers actually take our products and rent them out. It might be something you consider. I'm not trying to open a can of worms, but the rent, maybe some rent with the option to buy. You rent it the first day, you get all that rental towards the purchase of the tool. But we have dealers that do that. But I think the more you can share your passion for the industry with the contractor and even giving them the helps or the tools, and it might not be that you're not going to retire over selling our tools, unfortunately, but to offer that support. And even the way our tool business started originally, it was one of the large block manufacturers. Phil, you got to get your tools in the hands of the installer. He said, you're wasting time installing. Your tools are effective. And he looked at it saying the faster he can get his installers to install product, the more product they're going to come back and buy from the manufacturer. And it's the same way with you. The more you're giving your installers the proper tools, the more efficient they're going to be, the more profitable they're going to be. They're going to be back in here. They're going to obviously be more profitable, do more jobs, keep their staff happier, retention of help. So it's a win-win all around if you can support your contractors with the tools.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think and we do a good job at it because we do. I mean, daily it's like a guy will call me and say, hey, you guys just delivered those 10 steps. We thought we could do it with straps, but do you have one of those lifters we could borrow? And I'm like, yeah, actually we do.
We used to. So someone stole it.
Oh, yeah. Or they come back. You know, we try. The thing about renting, and like you said, you don't want to open up a can of worms, is we do rent, but sometimes a little bit hesitant because it never comes back the way, you know, and you wish they would respect it a little bit more. But, you know, we say, try to take care of it, you know, and somehow, you know, the thing comes back a little bent, or, you know, we rented the wheel, the roller, the tamper, and next thing you know, we got to replace one of the wheels or something like that. So the cost of it, it's a little.
You have to almost be set up for it and expect that.
But it's a must, though.
Yeah,
it really is. It really is, especially to sell the product. It's not so really to rent, but a lot of guys that are really interested, we would like to test it out for them. You know what I mean? And they say, listen, if it works, we'll buy it. You know, so we really have to invest in that.
We have a lot of contracts, not rare, and I'm being honest. It's not rare that a guy will say, man, I bought that clamp and it paid for itself at the first job. I got guys, a guy was just recently, he said like 38 steps in the morning with our clamp. He says, I couldn't believe how efficient it was. You know, so really, if you get into systems, you know, when using the clamps, it's amazing how much faster, more efficient you can be.
I know what I used to do too. If I had a big job where I wanted a new tool, I'd always just put that cost right into that job. So
smart,
say $700-800 for that clamp, and you got 15 steps to put in. Why not just put that $700 or $800 for that clamp? Buy it, and then it's like it just paid for itself with that one job.
Did you have to hide that $800 from your wife? It's going towards your favorite tool instead of buying her a trip to Aruba.
Right.
Aruba.
So, Josh, I know you've been a little bit quiet here. So if you had to give a word of advice to a new guy or even some old guys that just don't want to change their ways, you know, what would it be for, you know, the new tools out here?
Oh, man. Buy them all.
You just put them on the spot.
I know, that's hard.
I mean, it's an investment, right? And that's what they don't understand, that it is an investment.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am if it weren't for all the tools I've invested in. It was good for me because I just got that pounded in my head before I started my company, like, invest in this stuff and you'll be better off. And it has. I mean, obviously I wasn't able to buy everything right off the bat. It takes time, but adding just a little bit every year, it makes a big difference. So just buy what you can. Do your research, like Phil was saying, and buy what's going to help you the most. You know, if you do a lot of steps, invest in a clamp. Yeah. If you do a lot of pavers, buy like the scooter kit and some of the lifters. Like, just buy what's going to help you the most.
Yeah, it's really good advice, because I think sometimes we get those old school masons, you know, that just never want to change their ways, and they're still using the wheel carts, and you're wondering why they're walking in here like, but they're, you know what I mean? But
street rail, I could go buy a 2x4 for $1.99 at Home Depot.
I literally had a contractor come to at one of my booths, and he was with all his guys, and we were using one of our clamps for setting retaining wall block, and he starts laughing and poking his buddies. I started talking. I said, "You have any idea what you're laughing at?" I'd like, that's a 104-pound block. And he looked at maybe a little bit different. That he's like, okay, 104 pounds, yeah, that's pretty heavy. And in the next sentence, he told me he's got to go for back surgery. And so I just took advantage of that. I really started needling him a little bit in a good way. I wasn't rude at all. I said, you really hear yourself? And I hear it so often. I hear a guy laughing at our squeater package, and then he's next minute, I had another guy saying, I got to go for knee surgery. So some of these things, it's like no brainer. It's like you really need to think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah, and it's incredible. Those lifters, they're not just lifting one retaining wall block. You're doing 2 at a time.
Yeah, or up to 3 or 4, or 5 or 6, depending on how they're stacked on a pallet. We have our multi-block lift attachment that actually can hang 4 of our clamps off it. So you could literally grab an entire layer of retaining wall block and you move it over the wall and you can set 1, set 2, set 3, set all 4 clamps.
You're laying 10 to 12 square foot at a time.
Instantly.
Yeah. That's called
entire
efficiency.
layers. So it is definitely taking the heart out of hardscaping.
Yeah, we we sold a lot of steps last year, so a lot of those tread setters and stuff work for those. But we start selling a lot of, they're called Seneca boulders, so they're pretty consistent in size and width and stuff. And these guys are doing retaining walls with these, and it was actually a perfect product for that. Now that they were using them with their, their forklifts or whatever, or their just using with the forks and lifting them and trying to shimmy them off. Now, that tread setter or whatever.
That huge clamp.
Yeah, the clamps.
With the teeth on it.
I mean, for boulders are amazing,
That's brand new this year, and we actually utilized that with our 980. So a standard clamp, our most popular clamp. Actually, people have been asking me about a boulder grab for years. And I said, I'll use your thumb on your escalator. But with a thumb, you're limited to access as to how you can get into your retaining wall or wherever you want to set it, or water garden. Or with our boulder grab hung off a chain, you can spin it. And obviously, if you have a long chain, it gives you a little bit of sway, one way or another. So it does give you a lot of effectiveness.
Yeah.
As far as setting boulders. So that's a neat product. We're excited. We're moving a tremendous amount of them already. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I said when we started this podcast, we could probably sit here for 2 hours and not skip a beat.
We're almost close.
Yeah, we're getting there.
But it's something about tools,
There's one thing that we have at our facility. We have a training facility in Connecticut, and we call it kind of try before you buy. So we're set up in a way that guys can come out and they can see the tools and get some hands on. We're doing an actual demo day on March 13th. So we'll have all our equipment, and I know you had down here asking about our new equipment. So we did partner with Optima. Let me just touch on this real quick. But they've been in business since the 1970s. In 1968, he built the first paver laying machine. So somebody that I've held high in my sights for a lot of years. He's obviously been at it much longer than I have, but this Optimus company is a tremendous leader in our industry, starting in Germany. So we have all their paver laying equipment and heads that actually go in front of an excavator. Our paver training facility is sponsored by Mechalak, so that's that unique hybrid. It's a excavator and a skid steer all in one, which is really cool. So we have that there at our facility. So we're trying to get guys to be able to come in and be able to see this equipment, be able to try the equipment. That's what, like I said, for March 13th, we're going to have a big open house, get guys in there, and they can actually get in the saddle and try some of this equipment out and see how it works and the efficiencies of it.
That's great. It's been great sitting here. All these tools. If you don't have these tools, check out Pave Tool. They're just going to make your life easier at the end of the day. And your employees will be a lot happier with you too. So thanks a lot for sitting here with us and taking the time to talk about it.
Thanks for taking the time to have us.
For anybody that doesn't know where to, go look for these tools, or, where are you guys at? You guys on Instagram, Facebook, or?
All of the above. Yep. Pavetool.com. Check us out we have a dealer locator on there also. You can find your local dealer, or you can actually go direct to our site and order them straight through us.
Awesome.
So thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Have safe travels.